So now we're going to take a look at some elimination word problems. So again, the only difference between the word problems and the stuff you were doing previously is that we actually have to come up with the equations. So we're going to take a look at example 1. The school is selling tickets for a show. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 3 child tickets. Okay, so what I want you to do is highlight the important parts. So they sold 3 child tickets and 1 adult ticket for a total of $38. Okay, so the second part is the school sold 3 child tickets and 2 adult tickets on the second day for a total of $52. And we need to find the price of the adult and child tickets. So we did step 1, we highlighted our important information. So step 2 is we are going to define our variables. So you can use regular letters, so you can use C as a child's ticket and A as an adult ticket, or you can use Y and X. So what I am going to do is we can do C is a child ticket and A is an adult ticket. I'm probably going to use them as lowercase. Okay, so from here, we're now going to make our equations. So let's take a look at day 1. So on day 1, we sold, let me just change this back to black, we sold 3 child tickets. Okay, so 3 child tickets. And we sold 1 adult ticket. And we made a total of $38. So there's our equation 1. Now what do we do on day 2? On day 2, we sold 2 adult tickets and 3 child tickets for a total of $52. And so now that we have our equations, we can do our elimination. So you can see here that we actually can minus these 2, because if we minus 3c and 3c, we get rid of this variable. So if we do that, we get 3c minus 3c, which is 0, and we get 1a minus 2a, which is negative 1a, and we get 38 minus 52, which we get negative 14. And then we need to get rid of the negative 1 because we need a as a positive. So we're going to divide this both by negative 1. So if we divide the one side by negative 1, and we divide the other side by negative 1, negative 14 divided by negative 1 is positive 14. So we get A as equaling 14. So we now have the price of our adult ticket. And what we have to do is substitute this back in to get the price of our child ticket, right? Because there's still a C that we need to figure out. So we're going to do the next step. We're just going to move it. I'm going to change the color of the next step. So the next step is to take our 14 and plug it into, we're going to use the first equation. So we have 3c plus 1 and plug our adult price in there, equaling 38. And then we do our mathing. 14 equals 38. Now what we need to do here is we need to get the c by itself. Okay, so we need to minus 14 from both sides. So if we minus 14 from both sides, minus 14 and minus 14, it gets rid of 14 on this side and it gives us 3c on the left. So 3c on the left, and it gives us 24 on the right. So now we must divide both sides by 3 to get c by itself. So if we divide both sides by 3, we will get c alone. And 24 divided by 3 is 7. So we now have the price of our child ticket as well. So we go over and we write the price of an adult ticket is $14. The price of a child's ticket I can't type tonight is $7. And there we have it. We're finished. So now we're going to go on to the next one. And I'm just going to bring this here. And we're going to read it, and then I'm going to do it on the whiteboard with you guys, because typing is not the same. So a small store sells used CDs and DVDs. So we're going to highlight some of this stuff, okay? So the CDs sell for $9 each. Okay, the CDs. DVDs sell for $11 each. So Cody is working part-time, and he sells a total of $240 worth of CDs and DVDs during this shift. He knows 20 items were sold. He needs to tell the store owner how many of each type were sold. So we need to find out how many CDs and how many DVDs he sold. So step 1 is to define what we're going to be using. So C can be for CDs, okay? And D can be used for DVDs. And then I'm going to flip this around. Let me just write C equals CD and D equals DVD. Okay, so we have this here. So our C is equal to, our C is equal to CD and our D is equal to DVD. So it says that he had sold, where was it? It said that he had sold 20 items. Okay, so we know that he sold a certain amount of CDs. We don't know how many. And we know that he sold a certain amount of DVDs. We don't know how many, but we know that they equal to 20 items. okay? And then for the second part, we know that the CDs are $9 each, and we know that the DVDs are $11 each, and we know that he sold $204 worth. Okay, so I should have done these equations the other way around, but that's okay. So for us to do elimination, we now need to get something that are the same. So what I would recommend is timesing this whole equation by 9. Because if we do that, we'll have a 9C and a 9C, and then we can eliminate. So let's do that. Times by 9, times by 9. And this gives us 9. I'm just going to do it up here. It gives us 9C plus, I'm going to go this way, 9C plus 9D equals 180. So what we're going to do is we are going to minus these two equations. Okay? So if we minus 9C from 9C, so I'm just going to move this down. No, we're going to leave it. 9C from 9C, we get 0. We're going to minus 9D from 11D, and we get negative 2D. And then 180 minus 204. So I have to do that over here. We get negative 24. You see that so far? And then from here, we now have to divide both sides because we need D by itself. So we have to divide both sides by negative 2. And remember, when we divide a negative by a negative, it's going to give us a positive. So this gives us D is equal to 12. And then we are going to take this D as our next step. So we're just going to block this off and use this one as our next step. So we're going to take this and plug it back into here because this equation is more simple than this one. So we're going to do C plus, because we found out how many DVDs. We now need to find out how many CDs. So we're going to do C plus, plug our D in, 12 equals 20. And so we move this to the other side, and by doing that we have to minus 12 and minus 12, which gives us C equals, because this crosses out, C equals 8. So when we write our information that we just found, he sold 12 DVDs and he sold 8 CDs. Okay, so that's how we do that one. So it's just taking the words that they are giving us and creating two equations. And then we can do the elimination that we learned the other day or earlier today. So we're going to do another one together. So two numbers have a sum of 340. So that is important. And a difference of 167 or 66, 56. Oh my goodness. I'm getting tired if you can't tell. So what does this mean? So they're asking what are the two numbers? So remember the sum is addition. So we have two numbers. So we have x and we have y, right? So this is going to equal number 1, and this is going to equal number 2. So we've done our first step. We've defined the things we're using. So two numbers have a sum of 340. So these two numbers, so x and y, added together equal 340. That's our first equation. And remember, the difference means minus. So when x and y are minused, they equal 156. So we're going to line these up. And this one is super easy because we already see here that there's a positive y and there's a negative y. So what we're going to do is add these two together. And so when we add them together, x plus x is 2x, and y plus negative y is 0. Sorry, it's 2. Yeah, no, 2x plus 0 equals 3. I need my calculator for this one. 340 plus 156 is 496. I guess I could have done that in my head, but we're going to go with it. And so we're going to write that pretty. And now we need to divide both sides by 2. Oops. So when we divide both sides by 2, it leaves us with x by itself. And then we divide this side by 2, and it gives us 248. So our x is 248. And we can then plug that into our other equation. So I'm going to choose this one right here. So we're going to plug 248 in, minus y equals 156. And from here, we now have to get rid of this 248. So we're going to minus 248 from both sides. So 56 minus 248. So we get negative y equaling negative 92. Now we can't have a negative y. We need to make it positive. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. And when we divide by negative 1, it gives us y equaling positive 92. So our two numbers are, I'm going to write that, our two numbers are 248 and 92. So what I'm going to get you guys to do, I have 2 more examples. So all I want you to do is go practice those ones on your own. And that's it. Okay? If you have any questions, you let me know.